What up, peeps? We are back, and with all the talk about a potential 8 to 12 team college football playoff expansion, and this is something that the NCAA wants to try to nail down for the 2024 season. In my head, I love a 12-team postseason model that would pretty much guarantee a berth to each of the Power 5 champions, which I would assume the majority of us would love to see in these playoffs. That would be really cool. And so now, with that said, NCAA College Football 14 Revamped has a utility tool that allows us to create a 4 or 8 team college football playoff. And shout out to the Revamped team, and feel free to visit cfbrevamped.com. They have set up tutorials if this is something you're interested in testing out. I'm currently playing on the PC, but there's also support for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. So this is a pretty cool utility. I'm really liking the setup and the format of this. And after I open my Dynasty file using this tool, I can go ahead and set up the rankings. For example, I need to move Alabama to number 1. I'm going to go by the real life rankings right now, and so on and so forth as I maneuver and move these teams in their proper ranking, just to set my 8 teams in order in preparation for the playoff. And I kind of went off script with these matchups because for some reason what you see here, this is what was in my head, mainly because the top 4 are already set. Example, Alabama will be playing Cincinnati. So basically I went ahead and matched the bottom 4 pretty much the same way as the top 4 were matched. Example, in real life, Notre Dame is coming in at number 5, so I matched them with Ole Miss that is coming in at number 8. I felt like that made sense, so I kind of rolled with that. As you can see with this utility, the UI is pretty slick. Everything is pretty much easy to navigate. If you want to make any adjustments, you can click any of these teams on the bracket and easily just replace them with another team. So I'm really enjoying what the Revamped team implemented here in NCAA 14. So I kind of just wanted to shine a light on this before I go into the actual 8-team playoff. And I started the playoff. I went ahead and simmed all the matchups, starting with Notre Dame versus Ole Miss. Notre Dame jumps out to a 13-7 lead. Halftime stats, Notre Dame 198 yards passing versus Ole Miss only 16 through the air. Notre Dame's time of possession has definitely stood out as a key to that first half. And Notre Dame actually holds on to win 19-14. Ole Miss just could not stop that passing attack. And for your players of the game, I mean, look at Jack Cohn. 21-25 yards passing, 268 with 2 touchdowns. I mean, he really lit it up. Now this takes us into OSU versus Baylor. Baylor jumps out to a 10-7 lead at halftime, and both teams are pretty much even. But Baylor is controlling the time of possession, and this game actually goes down to the wire. OSU kicks a field goal to win the game as the clock ticks down. They sealed the victory. The game was pretty much even throughout, and even the players of the game were pretty much even. Nobody really set themselves apart, but Baylor did have 2 turnovers that ruined their chances to advance, so that definitely played a factor. Alabama versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati strikes early, but Alabama turned it up, leading 17-7 at the half. Alabama is dominating their ground and air game, and the trend continues with the Alabama victory 27-14. Players of the game, Desmond Ridder played well in defeat, but Alabama's Brian Robinson Jr., 78 yards, rushing with 2 touchdowns. Georgia versus Michigan, and at the half, Georgia is up 21-0. And the story is that Georgia's defense is locking down the Michigan pass and run game, and the dominance continued, leading to a Georgia victory 24-8. Players of the game, JT Daniels, 15 of 19, 191 yards. He also ran 15 times for 79 yards with 2 total touchdowns. That takes us into Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Whoever wins this will head to the finals. And it was a very tight first half, Notre Dame with a slight edge passing, but Notre Dame's rushing yards, only 7. They were struggling to get traction on the ground, and Ohio State holds on to win 21-14. Notre Dame with only 1 yard rushing. That's insane. Players of the game: Olave, 4 catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ohio State advances to the finals, where they will face the winner of this game, a rematch between Alabama and Georgia. And this game was a classic. The first half, things are pretty much even, Georgia 14-10. We are all tied up at 27-27 as time expires, and guess what? We are going to overtime. Alabama kicks a field goal to take the lead, but Georgia goes straight down the field for a touchdown to claim the victory in overtime. Georgia overall had an edge in the passing game, and the players of the game was JT Daniels, strikes again, 309 yards through the air, 25 yards rushing. He was responsible for a total of 5 touchdowns. Alabama's kicker, Will Reichert, perfect 3 for 3 to keep Alabama in the game. Georgia advances to the finals to face Ohio State. So this is the cool thing about having an 8 or 12 team playoff. Throughout this whole simulation, you have the 3rd ranked team facing the 6th ranked team. This just enhances the excitement and the possibilities when it comes to an 8 to 12 team playoff format. I mean, so much could happen. It's really cool. And now back to the championship game. Georgia is up at the half, 28-6. Ohio State -6 rushing yards in the first half. Ouch. While Ohio State manages to get a couple of turnovers to close the gap, Georgia proved to be too much and held on to win 28-21. The rushing yards were a huge difference for Alabama, and players of the game, Zamir White, just went ham. 11 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. And now your winner, the champion of this 8-team playoff format and NCAA 14 Revamped, is Georgia. And that's about it, peeps. I just wanted to share the simulation of this 8-team playoff with you guys. Let us know who you think is going to win the real life 4-team playoff that is going to be kicking off here in a couple weeks. Who's going to be the winner? Who do you favor? Are we going to see an Alabama and Georgia rematch? Is Michigan going to keep dominating their opponents like they've been dominating down this stretch? Does Cincinnati even have a chance? They're undefeated. They are the super underdog in this playoff. It's going to be very interesting. And all right, peeps, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. We will be back with more sports gaming news. And you know what it is. Until next time, Gia.